My name is Amanda Esco, and I am the Director of the Religious Education Program here at the First Unitarian Church of Salt Lake City. Thank you for joining us today. We are into the second week of June now, which in the United States is Pride Month. Last week, our community hosted the Pride Interfaith Service, and we helped coordinate a Sunday worship service with other UU communities from around the state of Utah. At the First Unitarian Church, we want to make our community supportive and affirmative for everyone, especially our members and friends that are in the LGBTQAI community. The First Unitarian Church is rooted in love and strives to be welcoming to all. Celebrating and uplifting things like Pride Month is one small way we can show our support. Now, let's center ourselves and take a moment to light our chalice. If you have one at home, go grab it and come back so you can light it with me. Symbol of light, symbol of knowledge, symbol of warmth, symbol of freedom. We light this chalice as a symbol of our faith. Here we gather to celebrate hope and the infinite possibilities of love. We have so many things happening around our community right now. As you can see, I still have all of our cleaning supplies from the spring cleaning kits here in Little Chapel. We'll be meeting on June 14th at 6:30 p.m. to fill them. If you'd like to help, email me at dre@slcuu.org. Also, Flower Communion and our bridging ceremony is right around the corner on June 20th at 10 a.m. Remember, we're gonna be outside having worship on the McGillis School soccer field. I can't wait to see you there. I'll have some summer fun kits for our children and youth, so please plan on attending. To begin our Reimagining Chapel, I'd love us to take a few minutes and ground ourselves in some deep breaths. As always, I want us to breathe in through our nose and out through our mouth 3 times. If you're able, stand on up, feel those feet into the ground. Now, close your eyes. Let's take some deep breaths. Deep breath in, out. Deep breath in, out. One last time. Deep breath in. Notice the difference in how your body feels. Taking a minute to breathe and ground yourself is an important spiritual practice. It grounds ourselves in our bodies, it grounds ourselves in our thoughts, and it encourages us to slow down. You don't need to do it for very long, but it will have an impact on your spirit and body. Right now, let's take a minute to share our joys and concerns with the people around you that love you so. I'll be right here waiting for when you're done. Thank you for sharing your joys and concerns with the people, the dogs, the birds, the rats, and the siblings that you have with you. I can't wait till we're together on the 20th when I can hear them in person. Next, though, Lissa will be sharing this week's UU of the Week. Thank you, Lissa.
Hi, I'm Lissa Lander, the Religious Education Assistant at the First Unitarian Church of Salt Lake City, which is where I'm at today, which is very exciting. Thank you for watching this edition of UU of the Week. Today, we are going to learn about Sam Ames. They are a living, breathing UU who is still making a positive impact on our faith and our country. Sam Ames has too many impressive job titles and credentials to mention, but here's a few. They are a civil rights attorney, LGBTQ advocate, and founder of the Born Perfect campaign to end conversion therapy. And Sam Ames is a Unitarian Universalist. Ames was raised as a UU. And in an interview by Meryl Beam for the Treader Transgender Oral History Project from the University of Minnesota Libraries, they said, "I grew up with the understanding that social justice was a spiritual practice. I was really lucky that I had this community of youth and young activists who were really bringing me up with this, meaning social justice, in my mindset." They studied psychology and theater at UC Santa Cruz and looked forward to a future in the arts until California voters passed Prop 8 in 2008. This reignited a fire to organize and protest from their youth and eventually led them to law school. But first, a quick but sad history break on Proposition 8. On May 15, 2008, the California Supreme Court ruled in a 4-3 decision that laws directed at gays and lesbians are subject to strict scrutiny and that same-sex couples' access to marriage is a fundamental right. This ruling made same-sex marriage legal in California. However, by November of that same year, the people of California voted to amend their state constitution to state that marriage could only be between one man and one woman, thus making same-sex marriage illegal again. This was a devastating blow to the community, but through a lot of work and protest, Prop 8 was overturned 2 years later. But it inspired Sam Ames to study law, and they studied at George Washington University and continued to organize for LGBTQ rights while there. After graduating, they became a civil rights attorney and worked with many important LGBTQ leaders. And even with all the progress we have made towards LGBTQ equal rights, the trans community has repeatedly been left behind. But Sam Ames has stood up for the trans community time and time again. Ames founded the Born Perfect campaign to end conversion therapy, which took them to the White House and to the United Nations, resulting in the UN Human Rights Office calling on all member states to end conversion therapy. Ames says the Born Perfect campaign was so successful because it was survivor-led and trauma-informed. And after all of that time working with survivors, Ames decided to leave the law and study at Harvard Divinity to hone their skills of pastoral care and confronting religious trauma. After completing divinity school, they worked as a chaplain in San Francisco before becoming the interim executive director of both the Trans Lifeline and Our Family Coalition. Still ever active on the legal side of protecting LGBTQ community, when the Supreme Court was deciding whether Title VII of the 1964 Civil Rights Act also protected queer people's equal employment rights, Sam Ames advocated extensively on behalf of the queer community. Now, this was during the Trump years, when legislation meant to protect queer people was consistently undone over and over again. When asked what would happen if the decision didn't go our way, Ames said, "Queer people, and especially trans people, have never relied on institutions for our existence. Throughout most of history, we have not had protections on the books. We have lived, existed, built family anyway. It is what defines us as a community. We exist anyway. We are family anyway. They can't overturn that. It is written into our skin." The best part is in June 2020, the Supreme Court did decide that people cannot be fired for being homosexual or transgender. It was an enormous victory for us all. I am grateful that Sam Ames works tirelessly on behalf of this community and that they continue to challenge institutions like the UUA to do better and be even more inclusive and equitable to our trans members and clergy. Ames says they wake up each morning, sometimes feeling like an atheist and sometimes not, but that being UU allows space for that. I'm thrilled that our faith has room for a leader with a keen eye towards social justice like Sam Ames, and I'm happy to add them to our collection of fabulous Unitarian Universalists. Join us next time to learn about another UU of the Week.
Let's see what's inside our Wonderbox today. Oh, it is a rainbow pride flag. This rainbow flag is the symbol of the LGBTQAI community. The flag not only incorporates traditional vertical lines, but on this one, it has these lines going inside that represent the transgender community and people of color. But how did the LGBTQAI community get a flag anyways? Well, today's story is Pride, the story of Harvey Milk, and it tells us a little bit more about this history. Let's listen. Pride, the story of Harvey Milk and the rainbow flag. Written by Rob Sanders, illustrated by Steven Salerno. You have to give them hope. Hope for a better world, hope for a better tomorrow. Harvey Milk was an ordinary man, but he had an extraordinary dream. That dream would change history. Harvey dreamed that everyone, even gay people, would have equality. He dreamed that he and his friends would be treated like everyone else. He dreamed that one day people would be able to live and love as they pleased. With his New York accent, Harvey talked to everyone about his dream. His voice boomed. His body bounced with energy and excitement. Some people listened. A few agreed. Most did not. But Harvey's big voice and his big dream wouldn't be stopped. He discovered that the best way to change laws was to help make laws. In 1977, Harvey Milk took a big step toward that dream when he became the first openly gay people to be elected to a political office in the United States. Harvey and his friends planned marches to protest inequality and unfair laws. And just days before one of the marches, Harvey had an idea. A symbol, he thought. We need a symbol that shows who we are and how we feel. Something to carry during the march. Something to make people feel they're part of a community. Something to give people hope. Something extraordinary. Harvey knew an artist who could help, Gilbert Baker. Harvey asked. Gilbert said, "We need a flag." Volunteers arrived to help Gilbert's design come to life. Together, they dipped fabric into large barrels filled with vivid, vibrant dyes. They cut and pieced and sewed until Harvey, Gilbert, and the other activists had a flag. A flag with 8 colorful stripes. A flag that Harvey hoped would give hope. Rights are won by those who make their voices heard. On June 25th, 1978, when it was time for the march, a breeze stirred in San Francisco. The flag unfurled. The wind blew, the flag fluttered, flapped, and flew. A rainbow as bright and unique as the men and women who walked behind it led the march. Harvey and the people asked for equality. They asked to be treated like everyone else. They asked to live and love as they pleased. They hoped the march would make a difference. Harvey was proud of the flag and proud of himself. He hoped others could be proud too. 5 months later, on the morning of November 27, 1978, Harvey and the mayor of San Francisco, George Moscone, were assassinated. Their lives were taken by a man who did not think like Harvey or feel like him or love like him. The flag did not fly on that dark, sad night. Instead, thousands and thousands of people marched silently, carrying their candles. The candlelight wove through the streets of San Francisco, up and down hills and around city buildings. A mile of glowing candlelight to honor the 2 lives lost. That could have been the end of Harvey's dream and the colorful flag. But it wasn't. More rainbow flags were created. Some of the colors changed. 8 stripes became 6 stripes. But the meaning of the flag did not change. It was a flag of equality. More and more people began to think of the flag as their flag, and they began to feel pride. They began to have hope. In 1994, Gilbert Baker designed another rainbow flag. This one was larger than all the rest. Women and men, side by side, carried the flag, a proud, mile-long rainbow floating through New York City. The flag wove through the streets, and down avenues and boulevards, and around city buildings. The people demanded equality. They demanded to be treated like everyone else. They demanded to live and love as they pleased. They were proud. They had hope. They would make a difference. More rainbow flags were made. Some were printed on bumper stickers and t-shirts. Others were hoisted on lampposts in Halsted Street in Chicago. One was hung in the Museum of Modern Art in New York City. Soon the rainbow flag was flying in other countries like Brazil, England, Israel, Russia, Singapore, and Turkey. The rainbow flag now unfurled on farms in suburbs and cities. The flag flew proudly outside public buildings, hotels, shops, restaurants, churches, and homes. And once, on June 26, 2015, the White House was awash in the colors of the rainbow flag. Equality, pride, hope, love. Harvey's dream became a flag for us all. I love a good flag. I love the symbolism behind the images placed on flag. The flag created by Gilbert Baker is no different. Each of the colors stands for a different element of people's lives. Hot pink was sexuality, red, life, orange, healing, yellow, sunlight, green, nature, turquoise, magic and art, indigo, serenity, violet, spirit. Now, like the book talked about, the flag has changed over time to become even more inclusive and welcoming. It has widened our circle of care and concern for people even further on the margins. By centering those voices not heard, we are putting our first and second principles into action. And as a community of doers, creating change, like Harvey Milk and Gilbert Baker, is central to our faith. Thank you for joining me for this special edition of Reimagining Chapel. To find out more information about the First Unitarian Church and our work in the world, please visit us at slcuu.org. But until next time, though, let's heart out.
One, each person is important.